Did you know that you have an entire team of spirit guides that want to help you live your best life? In this video, we're going to go into 11 different types of spirit guides. I am super excited for this video because we're finally going to go into one of my favorite topics ever, spirit guides. And in fact, 11 different types of spirit guides that you can connect with. But for those of you that don't know me, my name's Hannah, and I help people to own their powers and step into the driver's seat of their own lives. And today we're going to be doing that by starting to identify the different types of spirit guides so that you're able to more easily connect with them. And by extension, they're more easily able to assist you with your life and with anything you need help with. First type is probably the type that everyone knows about because it's become sort of a pop culture meme, and that is animals. Yes, spirit animals. And yes, everyone has a spirit animal, though different cultures have different traditions and stuff with discovering and working with spirit animals. It does not matter what your background is. Everyone has spirit animal, plural, spirit animals. There are 4 different types that I've noticed, and I plan to discuss more in future videos. There's your main spirit animal, there's your shadow spirit animal, there's your higher spirit animal, and then there's transitional spirit animals. These help you through different themes and roadblocks in your life, come in for a short period of time, and then leave. So your spirit animal, I don't want to go too much into it because this is a whole nother video in and of itself, but your spirit animal is basically always going to be an animal that you've resonated with. It may very well be your favorite animal, and there could be other things that denote this spirit animal in your life. So for example, my main spirit animal is the lion, and I have super Leo energy in my astrology. I am like a Leo sun and moon, and then I have a bunch of other stuff in Leo. So there you go. Like the foreshadow was always there. I was also obsessed with the Lion King as a kid. I've even like done animal communication with like lions at the zoo. Yeah, so the foreshadow is always there, like I say. So if you look back on your life, you'll see that your main spirit animal has basically always been with you and working through you and guiding you, even if you were not aware of their presence. Going off of that, number 2 is mythical beings, mythical creatures. I don't even want to say that because it feels kind of disrespectful. Essentially, what these mythical beings are they're higher frequency beings. They're higher dimensional beings. That means they operate in the like 4th, 5th dimension and above. We currently operate in the 3rd dimension. So these are going to be higher, and as such, we're not going to be able to perceive them with the naked eye, for example. But they very much exist. And so these are beings like, as those that are familiar with my channel know, we love our dragons, right? These would be mythical creature guides, mythical being guides. Dragons, unicorns, mermaids, fairies, elves, just anything sort of like in fantasy, essentially. Number 3 are aliens. And now this one, I actually don't have any alien guides that I'm aware of yet, so I don't want to speak on this one too much. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you do and you have something to say. But yeah, these are like the Lyrans, the Syrians, the Arcturians, the Andromedans, all these different alien species that we know. Space doesn't really matter. Time doesn't really matter. You know, these are just rules we're playing by when we're on this 3D plane of existence on planet Earth. So you are actually able to connect with aliens on other planets and other like parts of the galaxy and stuff right now, like telepathically. So you can actually have alien spirit guides. How cool is that? And if you are a starseed, likely you have many alien spirit guides. 4 are the higher selves of people that are alive. So these are people that are currently alive in your reality. And maybe they're not like talking to you. Maybe they are even, but their higher self is going to be a sort of guide for you. You can kind of connect in with their higher self and get guidance from their higher self. So a common one that I channel on my TikTok primarily is the twin flame higher self. I like to connect in with the higher selves of people's twin flames to kind of get clarity and guidance, because a lot of times on the twin flame journey, we get a little lost and confused and hurt. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, you can check out my video about obsessing about your twin flame above. But yeah, it doesn't matter if someone's alive even, you can connect in with their higher self as a guide. And a subsign of this, which is super, really geeky stuff, to be honest, is those who have yet to incarnate. Let me know if you've had experiences with this one, because oh my gosh, this is blowing my mind. So quick story and anecdote here. I have been followed by this like little boy spirit ever since I was in high school. I have never wanted children. I do not want kids, but this little boy spirit that claims to be my son has followed me around for a long time now. And eventually it's gotten to the point where like psychics have picked up on this. They're like, oh, do you want kids? Because you got this little boy spirit around you. Like multiple psychics have said the same thing to me. When I started to become more open to it, I started to see this with clients, with coaches that I was working with just people that I look up to that like talk about this stuff. People connecting with the spirits of their like children that aren't even born yet. It's like some Fire Emblem Fates shit. It's so geeky. But yeah, you can connect with like your unborn child. I will say that I have kind of warmed up to the idea a little bit more of having this child eventually, but because he's like a spirit guide, I have strong boundaries with him. And know that if you do have like a child spirit with you that's like, no, I'm gonna be your child, and you don't really want kids, you can set boundaries with them and tell them, hey, I don't want kids, sorry. Or, hey, this is gonna need to happen. And that's what I've done. I'm like, okay, maybe I will birth you into the world. You've kind of grown on me, kid. But this, and this have to happen before I would feel comfortable with that. Tangent topic, that would be a fun video sometime. Going off of this, number 5 are the deceased loved ones. So these are also kind of like higher selves, but these are people that have passed on. This one I'm definitely not going to talk about right now because I'm about to do a video that goes a lot more into this when I started channeling the deceased and working with them consciously. All I will say is when you start working with your deceased loved ones as guides, wow, like it gives you a whole new level of like inner peace and invincibility, essentially, knowing that death doesn't really exist, that you can still have a relationship with those who have passed on. It's the best. So 6 are your past lives. So this is where it starts to get really trippy, and it will get trippier, I promise. But you can connect in with your past lives and they can be spirit guides to you. So the first time I became aware of this concept was when I met with my first ever psychic. And he told me that my Atlantean self, one of my lives in Atlantis, was a spirit guide for me. And I'm like, that's weird, aren't they me? And he's like, yeah, but you know, time doesn't really exist and all that, so anything's possible. And since then, as I've traveled around the world, I've had more activations, remembered more past lives. Like I just connect in with so many of my past lives as guides, and they can really be good for helping you move through karma and stuff, like subconscious blockages that they created in their lifetime. So it's a super useful one, I feel. 7, going off of that, other versions of you, but not your past lives necessarily. Now, these examples of these that I often channel on my TikTok are your higher self, your shadow self, i.e. the parts of you you want to suppress and not admit are there, your inner child, and your future self. So not your past life, but future you. But this isn't like a future incarnation of you. I would kind of classify that more with the past life type guides. This is like you from this reality, just a future version of you. So yes, you can connect with your future self. That's more than just like a meme. 8 is deities. So these are like gods and goddesses from all the traditional religions, you know, like the Egyptian mythologies, Greek, Norse, and the like. I, for one, if you follow my TikTok, you'll know I work a lot with Loki, very much with Loki. I work with Sekhmet from the Egyptian pantheon, Persephone, Hecate, Thoth. Those are some of my main deities that I work with. And yeah, these are going to be slightly different than your usual guides. But again, I plan to go more into this in a future video. Going off of the deities, we got number 9, the Ascended Masters. So these are kind of like deities, but from my experience, they're like a step up. They're like even higher than deities. And so some Ascended Masters that immediately come to mind are Jesus and Mary Magdalene, Kuan Yin. I love Kuan Yin. Saint Germain is another one I really enjoy working with. The Buddha as well. And then that brings us to number 10, are deceased historical figures. So it's like this deceased loved one guides, except these spirit guides are deceased historical figures. You may not have had any connection with them in this life. Maybe you did in a past life, but regardless, you resonate with this historical figure and they can kind of give you guidance. Maybe you're like in a field similar to them. So for example, one I like to work with is Carl Jung, because he does stuff like shadow work. He like coined that term. He's really like awesome psychologist, persona, shadow, all that fun stuff. So I work with him a lot in trying to understand the workings of the human mind. And then finally, that brings us to my favorite one, this is the one you've been waiting for, fictional characters. Yes, I've talked about this a bit on my TikTok. I haven't talked about it much yet on my YouTube, but fictional characters can be guides. They exist just like anyone else. They're just on like different planes of existence, different realities. If you've heard of and indulge in reality shifting, you can like shift to their reality and interact with fictional characters. These guides are perfect for helping you learn how to shift to that reality. Just ask someone from that reality and they will help you. But these, much like the main spirit animal, I would say these fictional character guides tend to be characters that's always been like a favorite character to you that you just really like. Maybe you have an unintentional like altar to them if you've got like a lot of paraphernalia of this character and stuff. You're like unconsciously worshiping them, feeding that energy, feeding that connection, and receiving support from this fictional character guide. So there you have it, friends. Those are 11 types of spirit guides. I am super curious if you want to let me know in the comments below, how many of these guides have you worked with and what has your experience been like? And if you want to learn how to connect more deeply with spirit guides, check out the video that I'm going to link here. It will help you determine the difference between a spirit guide and something that's not your spirit guide. It'll basically train you how to receive messages from your guides, to listen to your spirit guides. So without further ado, if you've liked this video, if it's brought you any sort of value, me and the dragons would love you forever if you could like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified every time I post on my super erratic schedule. And until next time, friends, stay powerful.